You might just see this as setting up some old black box to play a few video games. I know people who see it that way. However, what I see is much better. It's a portal into a world of imagination, creativity, and fun. It may be old, but it's still as fun as ever, even over 20 years after it came out. You know what's even crazier? I was only just born when this thing was popular, but look who's playing now. This is a look back on one of the finest video game platforms of yesteryear, the Nintendo 64. How could you expect this small console to bring so much joy? Well, it was pivotal in the evolution of gaming. This is the first Nintendo console to be capable of rendering full 3D graphics on its own. Sure, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System was capable of handling 3D graphics for Star Fox, but this required the additional Super Effects chip to work, and even then, it's just a little choppy. No, the Nintendo 64 could do much more. By this point, the world was introduced to 3D graphics through the 32-bit Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation consoles, but this is Nintendo we're talking about. They went one step up and went for a higher polygon count on screen. Plus, this was the first time many of the most iconic gaming characters would ever turn to 3D. Link, Donkey Kong, and of course Mario. Imagine the thrill of only seeing Mario move in a 2D plane, but then all of a sudden you're thrown into the front yard of Peach's castle. Look at all this cool stuff you can do. Your old Mario can't do this. Another big strength of the Nintendo 64 can be seen right on the console itself. 4 controller ports. What? This was one of the first platforms ever to be natively compatible with 4 players. Remember that Mario racing game you played with a buddy on the Super Nintendo a few years ago? Well, now you can annihilate up to 3 of your friends on the Nintendo 64. What could beat that? However, not everything was all upgraded. Part of the move to 3D gaming meant more buttons for new in-game requirements, such as the joystick for full directional movement and camera buttons to make it more comfortable to play. In addition, throw in the brand new Z button on the back of the controller and you get this awkward 3-prong creature. Nintendo tried to promote 3 different ways to hold the controller depending on the type of game you were playing, but you could only press every single button in one setup, and who in their right mind would hold the controller lopsided? That's sure to scream comfort. The controller did come in a lot of colors, so there's that, I suppose. Unfortunately, the cons don't end there. The Sega Saturn and the Sony PlayStation both evolved gaming by using CD-ROMs to store games. This offered seemingly infinite more storage space, allowing for bigger games. Nintendo, however, did not make the switch. They offered various reasons for sticking with cartridges, such as durability, increased difficulty to pirate, and faster loading times, but ultimately, it's clear discs would have been smarter. They lost a lot of support from third-party developers due to the need for storage space. The Nintendo 64 cartridge had a maximum storage of 64 megabytes. Discs, meanwhile, could hold up to 650 megabytes. As a result, the full-motion video that was possible on other consoles was nowhere to be seen on the Nintendo 64. On second thought, maybe Nintendo dodged a bullet. However, the Nintendo 64 still proved itself as being able to hold its own against its 2 rivals. The game catalog, although a bit small, is truly a wonder. Super Mario 64 led the battle at launch in 1996 alongside Pilot Wing 64, as well as Cruisin' USA if you were anywhere but the US. Several more memorable, innovative, and exciting games followed over the next 5 years, including Mario Kart 64, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, as well as its sequel Majora's Mask, Star Fox 64, the Mario Party trilogy, not 1 but 2 Pokemon Stadium games, F-Zero X, Mario Golf, Pokemon Snap, Yoshi's Story, Mario Tennis, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, Sin and Punishment, Super Smash Bros., Oh, the list is just so good. That's not even mentioning Rare's incredible offerings from Banjo-Kazooie to Perfect Dark to Donkey Kong 64, even GoldenEye 007, and so on and so forth. Combine that with several crucial, if minuscule pluses, such as support for controller rumble, the use of a memory card as a Nintendo first, and even the ability to connect with certain Game Boy games, and you get a mighty impressive console. The Nintendo 64 managed to sell almost 33 million units during its lifetime, making it the 9th best-selling home video gaming console as of this point. Between its wide credits such as bringing several characters to 3D, opening up the ability for 4 players, having a magnificent game library, and more, this small item proved itself one of gaming's most legendary platforms. It's no wonder I'm still playing it all these years later.